Shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon. So we'll
Good afternoon,
continue.
sir.
Yeah, we'll continue with the solid state that we were discussing. So yesterday we have seen the different types of crystalline solids possible. Okay, and today we'll be discussing about the crystal lattice. Okay. So how can you tell me how a crystal will be formed? A solid crystal, how it is formed? Any idea? Any idea? Uh, you might have seen a structure which is kept in the science lab in our school. What is the structure?
NACL.
NaCl, sir.
NL. So what is the chloride structure? So there you can see that uh, different types of bolts are there, and these bolts are joined by some lines. Okay, multiple bolts are joined by lines. So that three-dimensional structure, where that represents the crystal, where the constant particles are represented by points. Here in a geometrical figure, if you are taking, it will be represented as points. Then that geometrical figure that we get is known as the crystal lattice. And the different atoms will be joined together by means of lines. Okay, so three-dimensional representation of arrangement of constituent particles in space, that is what we call as crystal lattice. Three-dimensional representation of arrangement of constant particles of a solid in space, that is what we call as the crystal lattice. Okay, and are you getting the road?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, uh, and when you're talking about a crystal lattice, as I told you, this is a fraction of a crystal lattice. This is a fraction of a crystal lattice. You can see that there are a lot of 8 points are there. Okay, the three-dimensional arrangement of constituent particles in a crystal is represented diagrammatically, in which each particle is depicted as a point. The arrangement is called as a crystal lattice, or the regular three-dimensional arrangement of points in space is what we call as the crystal lattice. So, crystal lattice is nothing but that gives the geometrical shape of the crystal or the solid crystal that we are this if you are taking this cube, how many small cubes are there in the top this cube?
Eight.
Yes,
Eight.
eight cubes. And I can say that this bigger cube is made of small eight small units. Okay, and this each of the small eight cubes are called as a unit cell. Each of the small unit is known as a unit cell. So this is what we call as a unit cell. A simple the single unit from that eight cube, that is what we call as unit cell. And this unit cell will be characterized by six parameters. Six parameters, three length parameters and three angle parameters. So you can see that this length, this length a, this length it is a, height is c. You can see that this length is b. So a, b, and c, three length parameters, and alpha, beta, and gamma. What is alpha? Angle between a and b is alpha. Angle between alpha is angle between c and b. Okay, angle between c and a is beta, and angle between a and b is gamma. So whenever you are taking a unit cell, this unit, each and every unit cell will be characterized by the values of these edge lengths. So I can say a, b, and c are the edge lengths, and three angles alpha, beta, and gamma are the three angles that will characterize uh, a unit cell. Suppose if A, B, and C all are equal, and if alpha, beta, and gamma, all the three bond angles, if it is equal to 90, what will be the shape of the unit cell?
Cubic.
It will be a cubic unit cell. So it will not be always cubic. It will be it will not be always a cubic unit cell. So depending upon the values, it can be either cubic or it depends upon these parameters, as I told you. So what is a unit cell actually? What is a unit cell actually?
Smallest unit of crystal lattice.
Smallest unit,
Ah,
repeating unit.
Smallest unit of a crystal is when it repeats itself in 3D dimensions that generates the entire crystal. So as I told you, it will have three dimensions along the edges A and B and C. Three edges will be there, and angles are there: alpha, beta, and gamma. So alpha is the angle between B and C. Between A and C is beta, and gamma is between A and B. So these are the six parameters that represents a unit cell. And this unit cell can be two types. Unit cell can be mainly two types. And it can be either primitive unit cell or it can be a centered unit cell. Primitive and centered. Now, when I'm taking about this case, let this be a unit cell. This is an example of a primitive unit cell. What is this then a primitive unit cell? Where will you have the particles? Only along the corners. If you have particles only along the corners, then we will call it as a primitive unit cell. Okay. If you have particles only at the corners of the unit cell, then it is a primitive type. Okay. And if you have particles along with the corners, along with that, you will have particles in the corners as well as along the faces or the centers, then it will be called as a centered unit cell. All the eight in a centered unit cell, you can see that it will have constant particles along all the corners, and along with the corners there will be some other positions. Unit cell contains one or more constant particles present at positions other than the corners. It can be along this center of the faces, or it can be along the body center of the body. So likewise, we can have centered unit cell. Are you getting the difference? Are you getting the
Yes, sir.
difference with you?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
And this centered unit cells, it can be again three types. It can be body centered, it can be face centered, and it can be end centered. as the name indicates, if a unit cell have points, constituent particles along all the corners as well as at the center of the body, then it is known as a body centered unit cell. At the center of the cube, if you are talking about this unit cell, this particular unit cell, all corners are occupied, and as well as at the center of the cube, if you have a particle, constituent particle, then it is known as centered unit cell. Sorry, body centered unit cell. Okay. Now, if you have particles along all the corners and at the center of all the faces, how many faces are there in this structure?
6.
Six faces.
Six.
6.
Six faces are there. So if you have particles at the corners as well as at the center of each of the faces, then we call it as a face-centered unit cell. Then it will be called as face-centered. Okay, and the last one is end-centered, where you'll have particles at the corners as well as the center of any two faces, any two opposite faces. If you have particles at the corners as well as at the center of any two opposite faces, then we call it as end-centered. So these are the three types of unit cell: body centered, centered body cell, unit cells, body centered, face centered, and end centered. What is a primitive unit cell?
Only at
What is a
corner.
primitive unit cell?
Body
Only it will
center.
have particles only at the corners. It will have particles at the only at the corners, and you will have only you will have 7 types of primitive unit cell. 7 types. These are the 7 different types: cubic, tetragonal, orthorhombic, hexagonal, rhombohedral, monoclinic, and triclinic. And here you can see that if you're talking about cubic, as I told you earlier, alpha, beta, and gamma all will be equal to 90. And A, B, and C all will be equal in length. A, B, and C, if all are equal, then it will be called as cubic. Okay. And here also, so this if the parameters changes, we are getting tetragonal, orthorhombic, hexagonal, or rhombohedral. Likewise, different unit cells will be obtained. Different in tetragonal, if you are taking, all bond angles will be equal. Alpha, beta, and gamma all will be equal, and A and B will be equal. A will be equal to B, but C will be different from A and B. So that is a tetragonal. Only C is different, but rest is similar to that of cubic. And when you are talking about orthorhombic, all the 3 A, B, and C all are different. All the edge lengths are different, but the angles, you can, if you can take that angles, all alpha, beta, and gamma all will be equal to 90. Then when you are talking about hexagonal, orthorhombic, I am talking about orthorhombic, alpha, beta, and gamma will be 90, and A, B, and C will be different. Then when you are talking about hexagonal, A will be equal to B, A and B will be equal, and C will be different from A and B. This length will be different from A and B, and alpha and beta will be equal to 90, and gamma will be equal to 120. Okay, and rhombohedral, when you are talking about rhombohedral, or rhombohedral is also known as trigonal. Rhombohedral is also known as trigonal, where all the edge lengths are equal. A will be equal to B, will be equal to C, and all the bond angles will be equal. Alpha, beta, and gamma are equal, but it will not be equal to 90. All are equal, but it will not be equal to 90. Okay. Then when you are talking about monoclinic, all the lengths are not equal. A will be different from B, which will be different from C. All are different. Alpha and beta will be equal to 90. Alpha and beta are uh, alpha and gamma are equal to 90. Alpha and gamma are equal to 90, and beta will not be equal to, beta is not equal to 120. Beta is not equal to 120. Okay. And the last one, triclinic. And triclinic, you will have all the different lengths different, all edge lengths are different, and all angles will be different, and it will not be equal to 90. All bond angles are also different, and it is also not equal to 90. So likewise, seven different, that is seven primitive unit cells are there. Seven primitive unit cells are there. And when you are talking about cubic uh, unit cell or cubic type of crystals, in cubic you will have primitive, you will have body centered, as well as you will have face centered. Three three types are possible in cubic: body centered, face centered, as well as primitive type. In tetragonal, only two types are possible: primitive and body centered. So 3 plus 2 5. And when you're talking about orthorhombic will have four different types of crystal lattices. Primitive is possible, end centered is possible, body centered is possible, face centered is possible. So here four are possible. Only four categories are possible in this case. Here only two. So 4 plus 2 6. Then here 3 9. And when you are talking about monoclinic, or when you're talking about monoclinic structure, monoclinic will have two types: primitive and end centered. Monoclinic will have primitive and end centered. Then hexagonal will have be only primitive. Rhombohedral will be primitive, and triclinic will be also will be primitive. So likewise, as I told you, there are 14 different types of crystal systems as possible. Out of these 14, 7 will be primitive, and the other 7 will be centered. So likewise, 14 Bravais lattices are possible. Okay. So next we are going to talk about the number of atoms present in a unit cell. Okay. So for our simplicity, we will take the cubic unit cell. So you consider the room in which you are sitting. How many corners are there?
8.
How many corners are there in your, for you? 8 corners are
8.
8 corners. Now, to how many more rooms each corner will be shared?
6.
To how many? Is it 6?
8.
3.
8, sir.
4. 4.
What is it? Now you take this case. You take this corner which is at the center. To how many more unit cells this corner center corner is shared? One this one another
7.
one, this one. Is it 7 or 8?
8.
It will be 8. This one will be shared with 4 in the same layer and 4 in the above layer. So that means it will be shared, each corner atom in a unit cell. Each corner atom in a unit cell will be shared with shared more unit cells. Okay. So if that is the case, if each corner is shared with, or each atom at the corner is shared with 8 more unit cells, what will be the contribution of that atom towards a given unit cell?
1 by 8.
1 by 8.
1 by 8.
1 by 8. It will be 1 by 8. So each atom at the corner contributes 1 by 8 towards a given unit cell. How many such corners are there? How?
4.
Only 4 corners you have.
8 corners, sir.
Okay.
8. 8.
So I'll write and show you. In a number of atoms, we are going to discuss about the number of atoms. So the first one is the primitive type. Okay. Primitive type. And in the primitive, 8 corners are there, and therefore 8 atoms at the corners, or atoms or molecules or ions at corners will be there. And you can see that each corner is shared by how many unit cells? Each corner is shared by 8 unit cells. If you if you imagine, or if you look at the room in which you are sitting, you can see that one corner can be shared, 4 in the same floor, 4 in the upper floor, can be shared by, say, 8 unit cells. Okay, therefore contribution of one atom towards a given unit cell, towards a given unit cell, what is that? What will be contribution towards a given unit cell?
1 by 8.
It will be 1 by 8. And you have 8 such corners, so in a unit cell how many atoms will be there?
1.
1.
Is equal to 8 corners, and each corner will contribute 1 by 8, so it will be equal to 1. So the number of atoms present in a primitive unit cell, what is that? We will say that it is equal to 1. Are you getting? Are you getting or not?
Yes, sir.
Can I?
I can explain again. I will explain again. If you are talking about a unit cell, there will be 8 corners, and each corner will be occupied by an atom, and each corner will be shared with 8 more unit cells. Therefore contribution of that atom at the corner towards a given unit cell will be 1 by 8. And since you have 8 such corners, and since all the corners are occupied, the total number of atoms will be 8 into 1 by 8, which is equal to 1. Any doubt? Any doubt?
No, sir.
No. Okay.
So total number of atoms in that position, sir.
In a given unit cell, in a given primitive unit cell.
Yes, sir.
Understood. If you want, I will show with the picture. So this one is there. This atom is shared by 8 more corners, 8 more unit cells. This is shared by 8 more corners. This is shared by 8 more. This is shared by 8 more. This is shared by 8 more. All these are shared by 8 more. So what will be contribution towards this one? For this one, each atom will contribute only 1 by 8 towards this unit cell. Am I right? And since you are having such 8 positions, it will be 8 into 1 by 8, which is equal to 1. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now we are going to discuss about the phase-centered. What is a phase-centered one? What is a phase-centered? This
Along
is the
with
phase-centered unit cell.
Each face will be having one
You will
center.
have all the 8 corners occupied, as well as center of each of the faces. 6 faces are there, and the center of each of the 6 faces will have one atom. So this is what we call as the phase center. And don't think that they are not touching each other. This is the actual structure. This is the actual structure of the unit cell. You can see that here it is 1 by 8. Here it is 1 by 8. Here it is 1 by 8, 1 by 8, 1 by 8, like this. So that is what I told you. 8 into 1 by 8. Okay. Now in this case,
Yes, sir.
what will be the contribution from all the corners together towards a given unit cell?
1.
The phase centered.
1.
1, because 1 by 8 into 8, which is equal to 1. And each phase, how many unit cell can share one phase?
Two, sir.
Two unit cell can
1 by 2.
two unit cell can share one phase. So if you have an atom at the center of the phases, that atom will be shared between two unit cells, which means that the contribution towards a given unit cell from the phase center will be 1 by 2. Am I right or not?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is the actual representation. 8 corners, 1 by 8. Say sorry, 6 phases are there. Only 3 phases we can see in the picture. 6 phases. Out of the 6 phases, only half is given by each atom. So what will be the total number of atoms then?
3.
From the phase,
4, sir.
it will be total 4. From the contribution from the corners, from corner, it will be 1 by 8 into 8, which is equal to 1. From phase center, okay, from phase center, how many phases are there?
6.
6
6.
phases, and contribution
Six.
towards each unit cell is
1
1
by
by
2.
2, which is
By
equal
2.
to 3. So what is the total number of atoms?
4.
4.
Total number of atoms in a phase centered unit cell will be 4. Phase centered unit cell will be 4. Okay. Now we'll consider the last category, body centered unit cell. Body centered. What is the meaning of body centered? You'll have all the corners occupied. You'll have all the corners occupied, as well as at the center of the body of the cube, you'll have an atom. So all the corners are occupied. Like this, all corners are occupied, and one will be at the center of the cube. So what is the contribution from the corners?
1.
One.
Equal to 8 into 1 by 8 is, and this one is present at the center of the atom. What is the contribution towards this given unit cell? Is it shared? Is it
One.
shared by
One.
anything? Yeah.
One.
Is it shared by anything else? No, it is.
No,
It
sir.
is. It is. It is for this unit cell as such. It is not shared by anything. So that one is for this unit cell. That one is at the center, and contribution from the corners is 1. So total number of atoms will be equal to 1 plus 1 equal to 2. This one is from the corner. Okay. This one is from the body center. So total number of atoms will be equal to 2. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So tell me again, what is the number of atoms present in a primitive unit cell?
1.
One.
1.
It will be 1 in a phase centered
4. 4.
4.
4.
4.
4.
This is how 8 corners and 1 by 8 from each corners, and totally equal to 1. 6 phases, 1 by 2 from each of the 6 phases, it is equal to 3, and total number of atoms will be 3 plus 1 equal to 4. And when you're talking about the body center, you'll have
2.
from contribution from each of the corners, it will be equal to 1 by 8 into 8, which is equal to 1, and 1 is at the center of the body, which is of its own. So 1 plus 1, it is equal to 2. So that is the number of atoms which you have to keep in mind, because it is very important when you are doing the numericals. So we should know what is the number of atoms present in a unit cell depending upon the type of unit cell. Primitive it will be 1, body centered it will be 2, and phase centered it will be 4. Phase centered it will be 4. Okay. Now we are going to discuss about the arrangement of these atoms in a unit cell in 3 dimensions. In 1 dimension how they are arranged, in 2 dimensions how they are arranged, and in 3 dimensions how they are arranged. For our convenience, each constituent particle will be considered as a hard sphere. It will be considered as a hard sphere. What is the meaning of close packing?
No gas.
How closely these atoms are arranged. we'll say that an arrangement is more effective when it leaves minimum empty spaces. It is not possible to occupy the entire available space, but if we are having an arrangement where it occupies the maximum available space, I will not say the entire available space, the maximum available space, then we say that that arrangement will be more effective and more efficient. Okay, and we will discuss this arrangement of constituent particles. As I told you, each and every particle will be considered as a hard sphere, and we will be discussing in 1 dimensions, in 2 dimensions, and as well as in 3 dimensions. We are given number of atoms, number of spheres we are given. Each atom is represented as a sphere. So you are given number of spheres. How they will be arranged in 1 dimensions, so that you will leave minimum space between. How will you arrange them? You are given, let me say you are given 5 balls are given to you. How will you arrange these 5 balls in 1 dimension along x-axis or along y-axis or along z-axis, so that you leave minimum spaces between them?
In a line.
You have to arrange them in a line. So, and in a line they have, these balls has to touch each other. So this is the only possible. So they will be all the hard spheres will be arranged in 1 dimension in a line, where each ball is touching with the each other ball, so that you are getting a row of atoms. So in this row of atoms, this is the arrangement in 1 dimension. And if you take an atom, to how many more atoms that atom will be? So I'm taking this atom, which is at the third one, which is the third one. To how many more atoms this atom is in contact, or this sphere is in contact?
2.
2.
2.
2.
So that 2 will be called as the coordination number. Coordination number. The number of nearest neighbors of a particle is called its coordination number. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
The number of atoms
Yes.
to which a given atom is in contact. Number of atoms to which a given atom is in contact, that is what we call as the coordination number. So when we are talking about the 1 dimension, the coordination number of an atom will be equal to 2. That is the maximum possibility. That is the maximum possibility. Okay. So this is the arrangement in 1 dimension. You can arrange in a row of the atoms, and the coordination number will be 2. Now, when you are arranging in 2 dimensions, how will you arrange this in 2 dimensions? These number of rows can be brought together. You are given with the number of rows, and we have to arrange this number of rows together. And there are 2 possible ways in which we can arrange these the rows given to you. What are the 2 rows? What are the 2 possibilities? Either
Square and hexagon.
square and hexagonal. So here you are having, you are given with a row. Let me say this is 1 row. Each atom is touching with each other. And if I am placing a second row, I can either place the second row exactly below the first row, so that each and every atom are in perfect alignment with each other. And third row, if I keep, third row will be exactly behind the second row, and they will be in perfect alignment with the first and second row. So if I call the first row, atoms in the first row as A type, what about the arrangement of atoms in the second row? Similar to first, it is similar to A, so similar to first one, so it is A. And third one is also similar to first one, so it can also be called as A. And this type of parking in 2 dimensions, where there will be exact alignment of atoms along the horizontal as well as vertical axis. The atoms are horizontally aligning itself as well as vertically aligning themselves. Then that type of close parking is known as AAA type of arrangement of atoms in 2 dimensions. AAA type of arrangement of atoms is 2 dimensions. Okay. Now you take this atom. this atom, which is at the center, and this is in contact with how many more?
4.
4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you just join the centers of the 4 spheres to which they are in contact. What is the geometrical shape you are getting?
Square.
Square. So this A type A type packing in 2 dimensions is also known as square close packing. Square close packing in 2 dimensions. Square close packing in 2 dimensions. And what is the coordination number of each atom in square close packing?
4.
4.
Coordination number will be equal to 4. Coordination number in this case will be equal to 4. Okay. Now, another way in which 2-dimensional arrangement is possible is like this. You have one row of spheres like this, and the second row is placed in the depressions of the first, exactly aligning with the first row, but it is placed in the depressions of the first row, and each and every atom should be in contact. And if I place a third row, the third row should be in the depressions of the second row. Third should be in the depressions of the first row. Hexagonal close packing in 2 dimensions. Hexagonal close packing in 2 dimensions. Hexagonal close packing in 2 dimensions. Now, I am taking an atom. I am taking an atom in this hexagonal close packing. This is this cubic close packing. This is the example of cubic
Six.
it will be 6. And which is more effective? Which is leaving minimum space, empty spaces? The cubic
Hexagonal
close
close
pack.
pack.
Here is in contact, you are getting a hexagon. That's why it is known as hexagonal close packing. Here you are getting a cube. That is why it is known as cubic close packing. Okay, so by 2 dimensions, arranging the rows together, you will get a layer. How will you get? So first you are first 1 dimension you are getting a layer. Sorry, you are getting a row. In 2 dimensions, you are getting a layer. And if you want to get a 3-dimensional packing, what do you have to do?
Stack the layers.
You have to arrange the layers together. You have to arrange the layers together. So that will give you 3-dimensional packing. Okay. Now this 3-dimensional packing can be of 2 different types. It can be done on a square close pack layer, or it can be done on a hexagonal close pack layer. Okay. Now, when we are talking about the three-dimensional packing from a square closed pack structure, you can see that different layers are taken in which square closed packed packing is there. So different layers are there, and there is vertical as well as horizontal alignment of atoms in each and every layer. There is vertical and horizontal arrangement of atoms in each and every layer. So if I call the first layer as A type, what about the second layer? Atoms are exactly
A.
A.
aligning with the first one. So it is similar to first one. So what will be called the second layer as?
A.
A. Third layer will be again A. Fourth layer will be again A. So this type of packing in 3 dimensions is known as AAA type pattern, and as a result, you will get a simple cubic lattice. So this is the simple cubic lattice is shown here. A primitive simple cubic lattice or a primitive simple cubic unit cell is generated, and this is what we call as a simple cubic lattice. Simple cubic lattice. Are you getting? So in a simple cubic lattice, there will be perfect vertical as well as horizontal alignment of constant particles, and you can see that there will be perfect alignment both in vertical as well as horizontal direction. So that will generate a simple cubic lattice, and the unit cell will be a primitive cubic unit cell. Is that okay? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That is the primitive cubic unit cell. Will it be efficient or effective? Will it be an efficient packing?
No, sir.
Yes,
No,
sir.
because it is not covering the entire space. Maximum available possible space is not covered, so it will not be an effective packing. So that will efficiency of packing we'll see later, but it will not be an effective packing. And the three-dimensional packing in hexagonal closed pack structure that will from hexagonal closed pack structure that we'll see in the next class. So today at 3:30 we'll have a class. Okay, 3:30 to maybe 45 minutes or 1 hour, maximum 1 hour. So we'll take one class. Okay, all join for the class at 3:30. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, so 3:30 all join for the class 3:30, and this week today tomorrow and all every day you'll have at 3:30 one class, so that we'll the topics the entire topics by uh, the second week of December we'll try to finish that. So all join by 3:30.